City Temper. Scratch the 6. Today's 5th race is the Gio Stakes. It begins the Empire 6, and it's the first leg of today's cross-country pick 5. Scratch 5, Fighting CB, and 8, Vanzi. Scratch 5 and 8 out of race 5. No changes in the 6th, and no changes in the 7th. The 8th race is the Comely Stakes for 3-year-old fillies. Scratch 7, Making Sense, and 9, Pure Rhythm. Scratch 7 and 9. The 9th race is the Forever Together Stakes, and that race is on the inner turf. Scratch 1, Medita. 6, I'll Handle the Cash, and 13, Overheated. Scratch 1, 6, and 13. Today's 10th race off the turf goes on the main track now at the distance of 1 mile. Note that number 8, Inappropriate, will run with cheek pieces off the 8. And these scratches: scratch 9, Moonshine Now, 10, Trade Deadline, 11, Pool Shark, 14, Cherokee Song, and 16, Cetus Kid. Scratch 9, 10, 11, 14, and 16 out of the 10th. Again, we're on the turf today for races 5 and 9. Both of those turf races on the inner, and the portable rail is up on the inner turf at 27 feet. Main track right now is muddy. Empire 6 jackpot carryover, more than $278,000. We'll come back at 11:20 to recap the changes. Today's first race post is at 11:50 a.m. Coming up next, it's the Friday edition of Talking Horses with Acacia Courtney and Anthony Stabile.
Welcome to the Friday edition of Talking Horses. Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. As I'm not Andy Serling, I'm Acacia Courtney filling in today, as Andy will be back with us tomorrow, but so pleased to be joined by my friend Anthony Stabile. A little A-Train reunion here on Talking Horses for my last week in New York for the season too.
Yeah, it's been fun having you around all year, as always. Got to spend some time in Saratoga together, as well as downstate over at King Umberto's and some of our other favorite haunts. And yeah, you'll be leaving us to go to the sunnier, much warmer weather.
It's not bad in New York today, though, I will say.
Been a nice few days here. Yeah, the weekend's supposed to be good. Looking forward to one last hurrah in Phil's backyard, despite his Barry Manilow fandom that he told me about last night. We'll leave that for another day. And yeah, got some stakes action all weekend. Fun cards all weekend long. Like you said, Andy will be back the next couple of days to get ready. And then we got, of course, Acacia might be leaving us, but we got the Cigar Mile next weekend. A ton of fun races, Remsen, Demoiselle. Looking forward to. It's always a fun time of year at the Big A, right around Thanksgiving. And I know a lot of you complained about not having racing here yesterday. I'll tell you what, it would have been a fun day here. The weather wasn't great. We'd have been sloppy and off the turf. But yeah, a lot of fun the next couple of weekends as we kind of say goodbye to the turf racing and kind of turn the page to winter. But a lot of good racing left to be run here at the Big A.
And of course, looking forward to that Cigar Mile card on December 5th. But plenty of stakes action today as races 2 and 10 off the turf today at the Big A, as we'll take a look at ways you can get involved and play the races. We have a sign-up bonus for you on NYRA Bets. As always, use that promo code MATCH200 with that $200 deposit match. So head on over to NYRABets.com for more information. Use promo code MATCH200. We also have a 50-50 promo for you. You can bet $50 at Aqueduct and $50 at Churchill each today, Friday, and you can earn a $10 bonus. More information always on NYRABets.com, as of course we'll be bringing you racing from Churchill and Aqueduct on America's Day at the Races a little bit later on. Also, Friday, today's your last day. You have until 5 p.m. to sign up for the Aqueduct Saturday contest. It's a $250 buy-in. Cash prizes, really fun contest to take part in. You can watch your name head to the top of the leaderboard. So head on over to NYRA.com/challenge. You must get locked in before 5 p.m. today on Friday to take part in the Aqueduct Saturday contest for that $250 buy-in. As we get ready for today's card, getting set for the first race, Anthony, as we unfortunately had the first race marred by some scratches. This one's the New York bred 2-year-olds here in this maiden special weight major scratch, of course, of our man Mike. That leaves Reunion Tour, kind of the one with the big flashing lights around him. Yeah,
first and third choices on the morning line come out of here. The 3 our man Mike and the 6 a long time ago, a first who will not be playing today. Yeah, there's not really much left to say here. Reunion Tour entered in an off-the-turf race first time out, made up some ground late in the game. That was a sloppy track. You can get a muddy track today. We did get a lot of rain here yesterday. Kind of surprised, and I would not be surprised with 75 minutes to post, the way the weather is. It's warm out today. There's a little bit of a breeze. I would imagine we're closer to good by the time the man says go for the opener. But some moisture. We got a lot of rain in a little amount of time yesterday morning. Woke me up right around 5 o'clock. It was good. I was able to get my morning workout in before all the eating on Thursday.
Did you do some yoga?
Yogurt? No yoga. No yogurt either, for that matter. I had a bagel. But yeah, I mean, not much to say. For me anyway, I think Reunion Tour race goes through him now. And pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, otherwise known as the tote board. He'll be 2 to 5 when all's said and done.
Yeah, I will say that this gelding was totally knocked on either side at the break. So especially stretching out, second time out, has a race under his belt, maybe some more experience. You might see him out a little bit sharper.
Took some money too.
He did, yeah. And Jonathan Thomas's barn has been going well. We say always watch when a barn is kind of in a good groove. As we keep with the 2-year-olds, race number 2 is next. This one is off the turf, 6 furlongs in this maiden special weight for the fillies, but there were quite a few horses that stayed in, a lot of first-time starters in here, a lot of guesswork, and some main track onlys that look interesting, including the number 16 Shop Girl, who's got a big pedigree on this filly by Constitution.
Yes, they do. Yes, we have. And I have had a lot of success with my man Christophe Clement this year. So,
Especially with 2-year-olds.
Yeah, especially with the 2-year-olds, especially with the first-time starters. There's guesswork here, obviously, but she does have a big pedigree. She has a nice work tab as well, and I just kind of gravitated towards what I knew in a race that we kind of figured yesterday after the rain, this one and the finale would come off the turf, and we'd obviously leave the 2 stakes on, which I think bodes well for the rest of the weekend, that we should have plenty of turf racing the rest of the weekend. Yeah, I guess with her, I think the horse to be a little interested in is the number 5, Sway Me, who Mark Hennig leaves in. We've seen some of these Air Force Blues win on the dirt, a couple out of town at Delaware Park. This filly has a nice, solid 5/8. A lot of 5/8 works underneath her belt. 6 furlongs in the debut. Mark's numbers, which are not good first-time turf, debuting the last 2 years, he was somewhere in the 0 for 40 range. At the very least, the first is on the dirt. Do seem to run a lot better. The overall numbers brought down by those turf runners, but overall with firsters on the dirt, they do okay. She would be the other one I would keep an eye on in here.
Yeah, she's an interesting firster. I thought the 4 In Vain was a little interesting. Charlie Marquez today has a lot of live mounts, it seems. Good to see him back after that injury to his hand, riding in the saddle and winning. There's some nice horses in the family. They've largely been turf, but several of them were pretty versatile and able to run on the dirt as well. And Mike Trombetta's a guy that's very sharp with first-time starters and having them ready to roll at first asking. So thought that one might be interesting. As far as the ones that had run already, you've got a couple of the main track onlys to the outside that do draw in.
Yeah, they round out for me. For me, playing this race horizontally in the early pick 4 and early pick 5, I'm using the 5 and the 16.
Moving on to race number 3 here, 12-5 claiming race, a mile on the main track for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. And this race, a scratch of one part of the entry. Stay Fond will be closing, but should likely be up against it, as we know Stay Fond likes to come from the clouds.
We do, and there are a few things to discuss now with Stay Fond today. One is the obvious one, and that is the claim. Linda Rice has had this horse on and off for the better part of the last 3 years, 2.5 years, and now goes to a barn that's had a pretty good year overall. Most of the wins, most of the successes come out of town, namely down at Parks, I believe. And now, this horse is... She's being asked to come back in 3 weeks. She's being asked to bump up in class a little bit. The trainer change is huge for me. When you have these older horses, and Stay Fond's 6 now, she's run. This will be a 37th start. They become like part of the furniture around the barn. You're just so accustomed to them. And this is a filly that's, you see a voided claim on the card. I don't believe it was the first time there was a voided claim on her. I think the other one's off the card. So you wonder, does previous trainer Linda Rice know how to keep this filly together? Yeah. And after all this time, you spend, when you spend these time with these horses and these old hard knocking claimers, she's 10 for 36 in her career. You get to know their nuances, and she can obviously, she can win this race on memory. Her and Daria's Angel, who we wound up on top with, they're the 2 fillies and mares in here that, on memory, they beat the rest of these horses.
They know their job already at this point.
They're in for 12-5.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't like that Daria's Angel drops off the claim. And I looked up stats for Orlando Noda, and he's never claimed a horse and dropped in 50% in class.
There are not good signs for either of these fillies.
As far as a class change off the claim, the majority have been stepping up in class, and he's had success with that. However, I saw Daria's Angel as the controlling speed in here too. That's
ultimately one. The trainer change with Daria's Angel and the drop doesn't bother me as much, as opposed to Stay Fond. 2, she's just exponentially faster in the early going, and more often than not, when you start to drop to this bottom. Now look, Daria's Angel, she's run a couple of times on wet tracks. She's second one time. Stay Fond a little bit more prolific when there's some moisture in the ground than the other favorite in here. But again, like you, I think she's a one that's supposed to kind of control this from jump. The filly I thought was a little interesting in here was the 6, Sister Alexa, who did some good running here last year against the condition claiming horses. I'm not a big fan of horses that just run against the 2 Life and 3 Life and those beaten races. You know, as a state bred, she went up to Finger Lakes. She ran in the restricted races. I'm not a huge fan, but she did show some success here last year. And in her last 2 starts, she was a little more favorably placed than she's been in the past. Maybe that's the key here as well. A horse who's going to be a decent enough price. She'll probably be close to double digits, maybe just laying a little bit closer to the pace.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar thought process with the 4 Varadia, who is taking a really big drop in class, but has just been completely swallowed up by significantly better horses recently, up at Belmont and Saratoga. She used to show speed when with Steve Asmussen, and her last win for that trainer here at Aqueduct for 16,000. So Steve dropped her in for 16. That's when she was picked up, and she's since then just been running against tougher. So I'm wondering if just getting a scenery of some horses that are not the quality of good credence might just kind of wake her up a little
You always
bit.
have to be a little careful, I think, when you see these claiming horses go to the bench, like she did in the spring, and when they don't come back in as good a form, I tend, and I'm not saying I'm right, but I tend to let them wake up without me. After the scratches in here, she's destined to be no worse than 3rd choice in here. So for me, I'd be looking around at maybe some other attractive price alternatives.
That's fair. Makes for an interesting race with the scratches. We'll see if Daria's Angel can take them gate to wire as we go on to the 4th race. State bred allowance race, sprinting on the main track for the fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. As here in race 4, and I'm sorry, that's my mistake. Top pick for me should be the 2, Ruby's in Time, not the 1. I had 2, 4, 8, 3 there as my pick. As we'll take a look at Ruby's in Time and Impossible Donna coming out of this race on the 1st of November. As these 2 rematching off of a wet track race, Ruby's in Time wide the entire race. Impossible Donna, who's also in here, does end up getting 4th for Bruce Levine.
So here's my problem with Ruby's in Time, and I have no problem with you trying to take a horse at a price. The 2 times she's won on her card, she kind of rode a good bias, and horses like that always bother me because. Now, you seem to like her off the wide trip last time, and that's Time. But I think a lot of people would like her off the bigger speed figure 2 starts back.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, she also has been she's been most successful on or close to it. 2 of her wins have virtually been gate to wire, and she's just not fast enough in here to get the lead. Again, she's going to be 5-1, and my kind of 6-1 is where I stop trying to talk people off of horses. But yeah. And again, you want 2, 1, 4, 8 in here?
2, 4, 8, 3 for me. Sorry,
2,
not
4,
the 1.
8, 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
2, 4, 8, 3 as far as that. And I know that the 4 Spin a Yarn is going to be a short price in here. On paper, Anthony, you know, I was curious of what you thought about this. It looks like there should be some other speed. I think she's faster.
There should be, but she's the speed of the speed.
She's the speed of the speed. And this is New York. You never know what's going to happen when
And she has a ride, and here's the confidence that I have. She has Jose Lezcano.
Yeah.
And Jose has had a fantastic year, and he's the big reason, in my opinion, he's had such a good year is his aggression. He takes the proverbial bull by the horns, and he goes to the lead. He sees like you and I see. He reads the PPs, he looks at the form, he sees there's other speed in here. I'm a very big believer in if you have the speed of the speed, let the others chase you. More often than not, you build up a big enough lead and a big enough gap between the closers because you got the other speed chasing. I just think, and you know what? Her races at Finger Lakes, and again, I don't love betting horses just shipping down from Finger Lakes, but her races at Finger Lakes were fast enough to compete here. I actually think she ran pretty well under the gun from jump in the Iroquois. She just got tired late in the game. She was hounded every step of the way. I really have no problem with her racing the Iroquois getting beat less than 8 lengths. You know, to College Road Girl and Time with Tradition and Perry Fire. You know, fillies that would all be prohibitive in here. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a chalk fest for me for the first 4. I hope it changes at some point, but I think she has a chance to kind of dominate in here. Unfortunately, the horse I wanted to mess around with at a price, City Temper, who I thought would be not far from it, came out of here. So it turns into a little bit of a chalky heat for me, but I think she should dominate on the front end in here.
We'll see if she can control things, as you wonder if you're going to get an improved effort from the 3 Honey Money, who was pretty disappointing last time out. Has been the favorite in all 3 of her starts, second off the layoff today for Linda Rice.
Yeah. She makes some sense. You know, throw out the race in the slop last time if you want. The problem is there might still be some moisture in the track. She kind of chased last time as well. Again, figures to be some pace on in here, especially with spinning yarn. Looks like she's going to be the controlling speed. We'll see what kind of trip she works out from Dylan inside of the main speed in here.
Yeah, not a advantageous position to be in with a very quick spin a yarn as we have stakes action starting in race number 5, the Geoponte. This one is still on the turf, mile and 16th on the inner turf for the 3-year-olds. And of course, Christophe Clement, the trainer of Geoponte, has a chance in here with City Man, who gets back on the turf this afternoon. But a couple of different ways to go. You land on Basquiat.
Yeah, you know, with Vanzi coming out, and Vanzi is, you don't know which version of Vanzi is going to show up.
No, I finally gave up today, so I thought he was going to win this afternoon. I picked him the last like 4 times.
I tried him a couple of different times over the winter here and out of town. You know, I don't know what they're going to do with Sail at Sunrise. I know what I would do if I were Chad Brown and Jose Ortiz with Basquiat, and I would go. I think the lack of aggression cost him the race last time. That we've seen Ever Dangerous come back. He paid $150 or something close to that on the Friday Breeders' Cup undercard at Keeneland. Where Ever Dangerous, a horse that comes from the moon, actually went gate to wire under Eric Cancel. I would, if I was Jose and I were Chad, I would be telling Jose, just go. Just go. Thought it was going to happen 2 back. Thought it was going to happen last time. It hasn't. This race now, I mean, and the other thing is, I think I would want to kind of protect inside if I can. The 2 horses inside of them, Doc Boy and Journey to Freedom, have 0 speed. We'll see what Sail at Sunrise is going to do. But I'm pretty sure if Jose comes out of there, jacking Basquiat to the front end, that, you know, it happens a lot around here. There's a lot of acquiescing going on around here. I think if somebody's aggressive, they're going to try and take off. I would just try and walk the dog on the front end with Basquiat.
Yeah, I would love to see him do that. I've actually been a big fan of this horse because since his debut, I wanted to see him on the turf, and I liked him back at Saratoga last time. Even he's got plenty of pedigree for it too, on both bottom and the top side. And last time out, it just seemed like he just couldn't get to Ever Dangerous, just didn't have that momentum as that one just had gotten so comfortable. So
well, he was, you know, he had that wide run on the turn. He was wide for a long enough way on the turn where he had to kind of grind and grind and grind on a horse that set. He almost went 50 to the half. I mean, the race was kind of over.
So we'll see today. But yeah, I landed on Bodie Cream. I thought Basquiat was a major player in here. The biggest thing about this horse, and he's a little quirky, and he's one of 3, I believe, in this race for Mike Maker. Yeah, 3 for Mike Maker. But I know he can handle a turf that's going to have a little bit of give in it. That hasn't been a problem. And I actually thought last time in the Hill Prince, mentally, he had taken a huge step forward from when it poured in the Saranac, and he was really kind of reacting to everything. He doesn't have to be too far back. He's pretty handy. He's pretty tactical. And he's just coming out of 2 graded stakes behind some nice horses. So we'll see if he's able to kind of, I don't know if this is exactly class relief, because this came up, I think, a pretty good field in this spot, but certainly coming out of 2 back-to-back graded stakes strides on soft turf.
It's kind of hard to get a good gauge on him, I thought, for the simple fact that he caught a couple of real bogs in his 2 races here at Naira. The Saranac that day, the day of the Joe Hirsch, I mean, of the Sword Dancer, I mean, that was we had inches of rain.
It was a torrential downpour right before that particular race, too.
And the Hill Prince as well. I mean, you know, it was kind of a race when nobody moved. So it's hard to really get a good gauge on him. His races out of town, where they rip him to the back and run, they're good. But when there's some moisture in the ground, and this is really for almost all of his races with moisture in the ground, he's closer. I don't know if he's as effective that way. I think he'd rather, you know, rip and run. And to that point, I don't see a ton of speed in this race. So he's kind of up against it in here. I thought that was another reason a horse like Price Talk, and again, there would have to be intent here, but Price Talk has never been far away from some pretty dawdling paces. If it happens again in here, he's going to be in shouting distance. And this is a horse, I think people were a little confused by him being dropped in for the tag first time out. Right, he ran for the tag, and then when he got disqualified They ran him in the maiden special weight event. He won that easily. He came back. He overcame a slow pace. And, you know, this is a really, really nice effort here under Jose Lezcano.
Ran down Yes and Yes, who was just comfortable in the front end.
Yeah, and people are going to look at this and they're going to say, well, he beat Yes and Yes, who's on the front, who's more of a sprinting type, and he beat Bray, who's more of a starter allowance type. Let me tell you what, he may not have beat the strongest A other than bunch. He certainly did it the right way.
Yeah.
He's done everything right so far in his career. He should get another good setup in here. Why not?
He makes a lot of sense. I think him being tactical, and that's why I preferred horses that could potentially be a little bit more forwardly placed, and that's what just makes it so hard for a horse like Reconvene, because I like him. I think he's talented. He broke his maiden and won that allowance at Monmouth, both against Older, ran huge in the James W. Murphy, as I
Knew that was coming.
Jimmy Murphy. But he just
Third of the Jimmy Boy Murphy.
so far off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I put him third because I think he's a nice horse.
He is.
And he's kind of like the insanity insurance. Should a horse like Sail at Sunrise go off and open up a 5 or 6 length lead, and there's a lot of pace on in here, I mean, that's an extreme scenario, but if it does, he's one of the horses that I think has enough talent to come down the crown of the track under my man Chris DiCarlo.
That's the Gio Ponte. There's more stakes still to come. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll kick off the late pick 5 on Talking Horses.
It only takes 20 cents to take down an Empire. The Empire 6 is the jackpot 20-cent pick 6 bet that's offered every day at the Big A. One unique winning ticket earns the entire net pool plus the jackpot carryover. Without a unique ticket, 75% is distributed to winners with 25% added to the jackpot. Win big with the Empire 6.
For details on the Empire 6 and mandatory payout dates, visit nyra.com/Empire6 today.
Track Master selections provided by Equibase on every U.S. thoroughbred and harness track on Naira Bets. Use these selections to get quick expert advice from professionals in the business. Check out the thumbs up graphic next to the pick and the wager pad and scroll down for more details on the horse. Track Master selections available on Naira Bets and the Naira Bets app. No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses with Acacia Courtney and Anthony Stabile. The A-Train here getting ready to kick off the late pick 5. Anthony, as we start things, as we continue on here with race number 6, $20,000 claiming race, 6 furlongs on the main track. And a couple of interesting ways to go. In this one, you land on Sirenic.
Yeah, this one gave me fits. Some of these other races were 94-mile-an-hour fastballs. Chest high. I liked them a little higher when I played ball when I was a kid. This one was a 12-6 curveball. And I hate the fact that I copped out with the favorite in here. But this simply became, I took a look at her last race, and I looked at the 3 fillies she ran against in her last race. And any of them, Jump for Joy, who, you know, is an old hard-knocking mare, Glass Ceiling, who's going to run, I think, tomorrow for first time off the Canamachi claim. I'm looking forward to something good from her. Dovey Lovey. I mean, compared to what the rest of these horses have been running against, now I understand that was just one race, but the fact of the matter is her 2 wins in the condition claiming ranks were okay. I didn't love the race at Saratoga, but she had a little time. I thought she ran better last time out. I don't know. I hate the fact that she's probably going to be under 3-1 in here today, but I couldn't figure anything. I couldn't do anything else.
And she She looks logical. I am with you. I had a really tough time with this race, and eventually, kind of begrudgingly, but landed on Miss Liana, and she's a little bit of a hit or miss type, and that's what I don't like, is that she's not the most consistent, but she has put back-to-back wins together, both here at Aqueduct and backed, and I actually just really liked her last race. And Jorge Vargas, we've seen be a little bit more aggressive here since riding in New York, just kind of taking advantage of some of that, putting her in the right place, and she's got some quick horses to her outside, but thought she could potentially sit a nice trip from the inside, hopefully stalking a bit. And just all in all, I thought she was really game last time to go up the inside and had two horses outside of her to just gut out the win. So we'll see. And she's 12 to 1 on the line. Hopefully will be a little bit of a better price.
Yeah, I'm using her to start the late pick 5. I'm using the 10. Why is she so lucky? First off, the John Toscano claim. John's horses all seem to be running well. And No Deal would probably be the one that I would keep an eye on the track condition. If there is some moisture left in the track, she kind of becomes a toss for me. She's just too slow. If the track has dried out considerably, I would toss the race in the slop. I don't love the fact that her recent form was at Penn. Good recent form was at Penn anyway, but I'll give her the benefit of the doubt of the race off the layoff up at Saratoga. And she's going to be a middling price. She's going to be 5, 6, 7 to 1. So, you know, in a race where I think the favorite could be vulnerable, even though I put her on top, she'd be a bit of a price I'd want to look at. I'm going to use those 4 on the screen, unless the track still has a lot of moisture. I'll toss No Deal.
Something to watch for, too, is quickly we'll just throw up a stat on the 5, Fair Lassie, as she has one of the highest last out by her speed figures. In fact, the second highest behind Serenic for that 74. Eddie Barker, second off the claim. Winners last time out, 4 for 8 winning, and 7 of those 8 finished in the money with a big ROI. So once he claims them, they tend to stay in good form. We'll see if that happens with Fair Lassie.
Eddie's my main man. Her biggest problem today is she's got to deal with Suze early on. She can't get in front of Suze, and her best races have been when she's been able to control the pace.
Moving on to race number 7, 6 furlongs on the main track, and this allowance optional claiming for 3-year-olds and upward. And Rob Atras with a 1-2 punch in here. Let's start with the replay for the number 1 Clench, as boy, this colt has been in good form right now, as one last time picked up by Rob, came back with this daylight score last time out.
Yeah, this is a good entry. If the right one don't get you, the left one will. Clench, who in his past has shown some speed, has now in 2 consecutive starts, which is probably going to help him and his cause in here, is going to be able to, he's shown the last couple of times that he's able to rate. Certainly helps when your fellow color bearer in the race is a horse like Chateau, who there aren't many faster horses the first 3/8 or half a mile on the grounds than Chateau when he's going good. And I think the fact that he was able to fight for the Chateau now, was able to fight for the lead last time out, 2 starts in a row now, he's kind of come back to life. I think that's a very good sign for this entry. You're going to take a short price, but I think Clench is going to get the job done for the 3rd consecutive start.
That one's in really good form right now. I gave a slight nod to the 4 Pete's play call, who got it done off the claim for John Toscano up in Saratoga, and I interviewed his owner, Gus Genessen, that day, which was probably one of my favorite interviews of the meet. And Gus said he had been away from racing for about 20 years, came back, he grew up next door to the Toscanos here in New York, and just the emotion. So this, you know, I'm rooting for them too, is kind of the point as well. But this horse hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, he's been really consistent, just missed last time, beaten ahead.
Yeah. There's nothing bad you can say about Pete's play call at this point. Another one of these, you know, getting ready to turn 8 in about 5 weeks. Actually, 5 weeks from today. He'll be 8 years old.
Pete's
so,
play call.
yeah, happy early birthday, Pete. Yeah, I mean, they're the 2 in here. Secret Rules is the horse that is probably most affected by having Chateau in here. Secret Rules is a fast horse early. He's going to have to run into a horse like Chateau. He faces older for the first time after a little minor injury. He ran really well in the Jimmy Wingfield when he was hounded every single step of the way. Just gave it up a little late, got beat a little over a length. But he's kind of up against it here. He's a horse, though, I think that he'll be all right for the winter and going into his 4-year-old year.
One to keep an eye on, hasn't raced since February off of the layoff, is Secret Rules. As we get back into Stakes Company, the feature of the day, race number 8 for the Grade 3 Comley, a mile and an 1/8 on the main track for the 3-year-old fillies. And we'll start with the replay of Miss Marissa winning the Black Eyed Susan last time. Boy, Jimmy Ryerson has her going good right now, and she is one to her credit, you have no doubts as to whether she's going to get the distance.
You know what's great about Jimmy Ryerson? I think a lot of people don't realize just how good of a trainer Jimmy Ryerson, of course, Unbridled Song's original trainer. He's done an amazing job with this filly. It was kind of hard for him to find, so I thought, a wonderful Monday morning in Compton's with Jimmy Ryerson sitting at the booth next door. You know, basically just saying after she won the allowance race over Risky Mandate, you know, how the spots were kind of few and far between. The cotillion was off the table because of the COVID-19. He really didn't know what to do with her. He thought about running her in the Alabama to the point where he nominated her, thought about running her back. He decided to back off a little bit, give her some time before the Black-Eyed Susan. I mean, how good was she last time? Another one, a couple of starts where she was forwardly placed and, you know, the allowance one was on the front end. Able to sit just off the pace last time in the Black-Eyed Susan, work out a decent enough trip from the 9 of 10 draw, and get the job done, holding off a filly. And Bonnie South just came back and ran second yesterday in the Fall Cities behind Envoûtant. I mean, she's done little wrong. She's drawn inside. She's got enough speed to, you know, you would think, to protect rail and just go right to the top in here. And we'll see how far Dylan Davis and Miss Marissa can take him in here. She's, look, as logical a player as we see in this race.
Coming off the back of 3 straight victories, I tried to get a little cute. I went with the 3 Ice Princess, who I thought actually ran a really big race last time out. And I know that she was really, really well beaten in the fantasy behind Swiss Skydiver. She's had some gaps in her races, which is something that gives me a little cause for pause. But if you throw out the fantasy, she's actually overall run really credible races her entire career. And she'll be a price in here.
Yeah, nothing wrong with her. You'd like for her to be a little bit more competitive in the Open Company races. The 2 races she's been least competitive. Not they're not her slowest races, but she's been least competitive against the Open Company. She's a big price. I'm not going to talk you off a big price. She has to take a big, big step up in here. She's really going to have to. And the thing that probably bothers me more than anything, now Danny Gargan's horses, after a little bit of a lull, they've been starting to fire again. I think he went 4 for 5 at Gulfstream Park West.
Yeah, he's killing it down there.
Everything's starting to run. He won a race up here. Horses are starting to come back into form. This is, you know, we see this a lot. The winter is usually Danny's time. And that's the main reason I wouldn't talk you off of her. But the lack of competition, the lack of positive experience against Open Company, and the fact that she does have an awful lot of layoff lines.
She does. She's had some gaps. She's had some gaps. Well, what about Gail?
Let me tell you something.
She's got to potentially step forward.
I am not someone who's often going to come up here and talk about time. It's important, obviously, but I'm not one. When you win by a baker's dozen lengths, and you go to final quarter of a mile in 24 seconds, that's just something I'm always going to ooh and ah over. That's just it. She was on the lead, and she got faster, or just as fast throughout there. You talk about Miss Marissa from the inside. I mean, I think the gate opens, Miss Marissa goes, Jose sits off of her. I think the 2 of them have a decided edge over this bunch. And I'm saying that as one of Mrs. Danvers' biggest fans. I think you have to talk about Mrs. Danvers when it comes to this, Comely. You know, a little bit of a coming out party. I think they're trying it at the very least. Man, the blinkers, I don't know if they helped last time. I don't know if they hurt. I mean, you know, the term life and death is often overused, but she was life and death to get by a filly who had won a conditioned claiming race to start before. And I know Invaluable was loose on the lead that day, and I'll tell you what, I threw her in my pick 5 that day just because of how good she looked in the paddock.
She looked
Pat
great.
Reynolds had her great in the paddock, and she took a tough beat. But man, this filly's taking a step forward today. She's facing some classy fillies. And I do have a feeling, I think David got this line right. I think she's going to be the favorite in here.
Oh,
and
I think Mrs. Danvers will take money.
She might win. She might turn out to be the best filly in this race. She is a terrible bet as the chalk in this race.
She could also do what she's done, which is kind of just, like you said, life and death. They added the blinkers last time. This is her replay with Thankful back in September when Thankful got the best of her. And Mrs. Danvers had a little bit of traffic trouble, had to kind of reroute at the top of the lane. She's the gray. She's the easiest spot there in the green capper. I guess there's a couple grays in the field. But here, trying to go in between horses, ducking down into the inside, just couldn't get by, thankful. And you can see there, I think that's kind of the good angle as Joel Rosario was riding her that day, was trying to steer her. She doesn't seem like the easiest filly to steer and to ride, and I would imagine that's a big reason with the blinkers last time.
And that's another issue. As good a rider, as great a rider as Jose Lezcano is, she's a little quirky to ride, you would think, this filly. So we'll see. She can win. She's a nice filly. I think you also have to question her getting the 2 turns on the 9 furlongs. But maybe, you know what? Maybe it kind of gets the bad habits out of her. Maybe a little more ground, being able to settle. Yeah, maybe it helps her out. Who knows?
We'll look forward to seeing what she has to offer in a fun rendition of the Comelies. We have one more stake on the day, race 9, a mile and a 16th in the inner turf, the Forever Together here. As I guess we could start with the replay of the Athenia last time out with Tap It Today and Feel Glorious coming out of that. As I know you like Tap It Today, as you got her home last time, you're going back to the well today. Yeah, no, I actually, unfortunately, did not get her home last time. I made a big bet on the... Oh, that's right. Call Me Love.
On Call Me Love, yeah. You remember? I don't. That was one I'd rather not forget. She was the second pick that day. You know what? End of the day, she's just been running against better fillies. I mean, I hate to come up here and give you a 2-to-1 shot, but
well, this is My Heart Belongs to Daddy.
And let's talk about her, because I don't know, and I'm harnessing my buddy Andy Serling here. I don't know if there's been a more fortunate filly, or now 5-year-old mare. I mean, how about, where would you ever think in North American racing you'd be able to see 25-50 in 3, 25 and 350 in 1, 25-51 loose leads parlayed into a couple of State Bred Stakes victories and an allowance win? If you would have told somebody this 30 years ago, they'd have put you right in a white jacket.
We had some
like
nice horses in there too. Those were not. Those were no bad horses she was running against either. Yeah.
And can she get to the top in here? Yeah, I guess she can. Can this all happen again? I guess. I guess it can. But you gotta feel like now there are just too many horses, namely Tap It Today, and namely the filly you put on top, who, you know, you can argue is doing what she wants. 2 turns, mile and a 16th, right between the eyes. This is supposed to hit her. I came close to putting her on top today. I just felt like Tap It Today. I feel like Chad has Tap It Today pointed in the right direction after the last 2 races. And this is a filly, you know, that they've persevered with. You see them. You see the year layoff, the over a year layoff on her card. They're the 2 for me. I see we have the same 4 in a little bit of a different order here. I did think Shalor was a little interesting in this heat. And I think a little bit more, I think she's almost like the 3 Little Bears with the porridge. I think the mile and an 8th is probably a little too far. The mile's probably a little too short. And now she finds a mile and a 16th with a little bit, you know, Villadera's going out to the Matriarch on Sunday. Now there's no Villadera in here. I don't know, I thought she was a little interesting. And she's going to be lost in the shuffle on the tote board, which could be very, very important in a race like this. I think she could be 10-1 in a race where maybe My Heart Belongs to Daddy takes the wrong kind of money.
I think she will, yeah.
You know, maybe the other Chad, Miss Tehran, she takes the wrong kind of money. You know, we both have her in the mix. Yeah.
I think Miss Tehran actually ran a solid race. And the filly that was 3rd in there, Orglan, for Chad, came back to win here at Belmont and then won the Grade 3 red carpet out at Del Mar yesterday. So that flattered her. But I noticed, and obviously I haven't seen her, but she looked just very, very small, which is not surprising coming from France. And, you know, not the sharpest out, and sometimes you'll see that with European horses too. Second time in the U.S., you'll often see a lot of improvement, and we'll see maybe, but she's got to step up in a salty field.
We didn't see her for 22 months. She shows up at Monmouth. She can win.
That's fair.
She can win, but I think there are, I really think, I came very close to putting Feel Glorious or Shalor on top in here. I'm going to use all three of them in the late pick 4 and late pick 5.
Tap It Today and Feel Glorious rematching out of the Athena, Shalor coming out of the Grade 3 Noble Damsel, as well as we have one more race on the card to look at here. Race number 10. Oh, well, here's the Athenia. We might as well show that here. Tap It Today, the winner of this race. And Feel Glorious, it felt like, just never really got a chance to make up ground and get out of her into gear, so to speak.
Yeah. This race kind of disappointed me, but again, I'm wondering if it's the two-turn thing. Maybe she might just be better at 2 turns.
The winner of that race, Tap It Today, the gray, chasing down the pace setter Mitchell Road up on the front end. Tap It Today, pretty handy outside post today. Did that give you any concern? Or?
Yeah, a little bit. I just think she's going in the right direction right now.
Off the back of a win last time, as now we'll get to race number 10. Off the turf here for the nightcap, a mile and a 16th for the maidens, $40,000 to wrap it up the day. As this all defend where we land. I liked her bit on turf today too, excuse me. At least you can say he's never run this low before.
Yeah, exactly right. I had him in the mix on both services as well. He's never been in this cheaply. His race for the 75, 2 back off the turf up at Saratoga closing week. I mean, if you told me he was going to run that race, he's tapioca pudding in here. You just bet whatever you can on him. I mean, but you don't know. He's 0 for 12. You know, but he has races as a 2-year-old that would compete in here. I think Green Light Go and Famished.
Yeah.
I mean, he just makes an awful lot of sense.
He kind of reminds me of that other horse that Tom Albertrani had, Scano. It always just keeping him in maiden special weight. Finally drops him, then he wins, and then he reels off. 2 wins in a row, now in really good form. I think he's just kind of a horse like that. And obviously he's persevered with. The number 3, Accessible, just another one. His dirt races have been against tougher. Yeah, 2 for 4 starts on the dirt. Overall, 2 seconds and 2 thirds. Just, in an off the turf race, you're just trying to kind of gravitate towards the horses that have had some success. La Jolla Road, the one time he ran it was in that same race with this I'll defend. I'll give him one more chance. First time for Rob Actress, keeping him in for the 40,000. And you use Prince of Caps, who of course has the glorious pedigree, half the Paula Silver Lining, and 2-time Carter winner, Dad's Caps. Yeah. So, hey, he's done a lot more running on the turf than he has on the dirt. I agree. I liked him more on the turf.
The last one, he's 3.
3.
The 4-year-old was the same thing. They ran in maiden 40s on the turf in back-to-back weeks, and both ran like 2nd or 3rd at gigantic prices, whereas the rest of the family was all dirt.
All dirt, yep. So we'll see. I just thought maybe he had a little speed, and nobody tell Charlie Marquez that it's not acceptable to send out of the gate, because that's been certainly a big benefit for him since coming here. Well, that'll do it for the race card. A lot of fun, as always, Anthony. Is nice big stakes action to look forward to today and tomorrow at the Big A. I know you love the Big A.
And Sunday, yeah,
Sunday,
of course. Love it. Can't wait. Can't wait for all the stakes action. Can't wait for next weekend. Back in the booth next Sunday, so nice time. It's a fun time of year.
I got a little race calling experience yesterday.
You guys were great. Acacia and Maggie did an absolutely fantastic job. That camera looked like it was on the Titanic as it was sinking for some of those races. I mean,
and the trees.
Up and down the trees, the breeze through the trees, as John Dooley would say. Yeah, you guys did a fun job with it too. Big field, one really big field. Middle-sized, small field, you got a lot of experience.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of experience.
I always had respect for race callers, but a newfound respect.
If it happens again, just get up to the office. The crayons are in the bottom left-hand drawer.
Oh, good. Okay, now I know. I was like, I need my highlighters and everything, too, to get ready. Well, that'll do it. Thanks for joining us on the A-Train edition of Talking Horses. Reminder, you can sign up and play all the action on Naira Bets. Get that $200 deposit match bonus. Use promo code MATCH200 when signing up. Go to NairaBets.com for details. You also have the 50-50 promo for Aqueduct and Churchill Downs. We'll be bringing you both racetracks on America's Day at the Races, which starts shortly at 11:30. You can bet $50 at each track and get a $10 bonus. Details, as always, on NairaBets.com. And you still have a few more hours before 5 p.m. Sign up to take part in the Aqueduct Saturday contest. It's a $250 buy-in, all kinds of cash prizes, and some fun opportunities to see your name on the leaderboard. Register now at naira.com/challenge. A little choo-choo
Choo choo.
Choo choo.
Good job this year.
Thank you
We
very
say goodbye
much.
to vacation tomorrow. She heads down south, but you did a great
right.
job.
Thank you.
Fantastic, a lot of fun. I told you when you first came up, you're in the great game now, and the great game is terrifying. It's a little Game of Thrones for you out there, but you've done an amazing job.
I've still never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, but I really appreciate the sentiment.
Didn't see the Karate Kid either.
No, I haven't.
Goonies.
I've seen the Goonies
When did you
now.
watch Goonies going to Qatar?
I watched it on the plane. Yeah, I did. It was quite an experience.
Ay, ay, ay.
On that note, we'll send it up to the voice of New York racing, John and Brielle, for a reprise of Scratches and Changes.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct. And we have mostly sunny skies with the temperature approaching 60 degrees. The main track is muddy and it is harrowed. We're on the turf today, on the inner turf for races 5 and 9, and the turf is good. Portable rail up on the inner at 27 feet. Empire 6 jackpot carryover stands at $278,182. In today's first race, we now have 4 scratches. Scratch 3, Our Man Mike. You can now scratch number 4, Full Moon Fever. Also scratch 6, a long time ago, and 7, Dante's Map. There will be no place, show, exacta, trifecta, or superfecta wagering on the first. Again, scratch numbers 3, 4, 6, and 7. Second race is off the turf, goes on the main track at the same 6 furlong distance. Scratch 1, Stuck on Kitten. 2, Singe. Scratch 3, I'm a Hugger. We have a jockey change on the 9, Palm Court, to Kendrick Carmouche. Carmouche rides the 9. Scratch 10, Why She Do Dat. 11, Miss Dracaris. 12, Ogotten Girl. 13, Split, then Double. Another rider change on the 16,